So thank you everybody for being here today for our only December Topical Tuesday for this month. We know how busy it is right now, so we really appreciate your time. Today we are joined by Dan from EdTech, who's going to sort of fill us in on everything that is happening with Lumio and updates from SMART and things like that. There's a lot of us in here today. If you've not already done so, please make sure to sign in. You can use scan the QR code, or I did pin the link in the chat box, but I'm going to put it again there for you. Again, please sign in. This is how you're going to get your points at the end of the school year. And there will be a lot of us on here today, so please make sure that you have yourself on mute unless you have a question or you're called upon, and then you can unmute and talk. Okay, so that way we have maximum time. We're going to give it away to Dan. Do you have stuff to share on your screen? I'm going to stop presenting. And
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you.
All right, perfect. All right, I will start sharing my screen here in 1 sec. Choose this. And it looks like it's up.
Yep, perfect.
Great. All right, well, thanks again for having me. Last time I saw you all was in April, and there's definitely been some updates and changes with SMART and Lumio that I'd like to share with you guys. I know, again, having been a media specialist and a tech, you kind of hear about things happening and you're not always in the loop on things. So I'm hoping today I can catch you guys up on changes and things that have been happening. I'll start with Lumio updates, and then we do have some things at the very end of us, smart panels and some PC replacements that are going to happen. But the big thing that happened since April, and I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the last meeting, is Lumio or Smart decided to create another tier of Lumio, basically a paid version that's higher than what we get, which was something in our RFP that we tried to prevent by wording everything like any upgrades to Lumio, changes to Lumio should be included as part of our contract. But for a while, we kind of haggled with Smart because they weren't going to give it to us. And we kind of kept pushing back, and eventually they finally said, okay, you guys can have Spark also. We were kind of frustrated there for a little bit. That being said, I'm going to go over some of the features that we're getting now that we have this Lumio Spark upgrade, as well as new features to Lumio in general. So there will be upgrades that just happen in Lumio, but then also Lumio Spark will have additional features that will be added over time. We do have some e-learning courses I will mention towards the end, and then just some other miscellaneous announcements towards the end. So keeping, I do believe we only have 30 minutes. I'll try to be good about time. I am a talker, so I'm going to try to keep on task here. So as far as the Lumio updates, we're going to look at Spark features as well as some beta features. In Lumio itself, without Spark, there's now the ability to add recorded or saved audio to pages, which is huge. We've been asking for this for a long time. You could always do it in Smart Notebook, but now you can do it in Lumio, which is great for that back and forth with students. I'll share more of that. They've added stickers to the gallery, which is nice and handy. Persistent class ID for when you're delivering a lesson. So that if somebody gets kicked out or needs to join again, your class ID can just be sitting on the page, which is something they've had in like Nearpod and Pear Deck forever. And finally, Smart has added that to Lumio. And they've now also added the equation editor, not only for teachers, but now for students to use for their digital workspaces, which is great for our math and science teachers. And then a little bit I'm going to have at the end about using Lumio Sync for presenting Lumio on multiple displays, mainly because it's kind of a best kept secret that people don't realize you can log into Lumio on multiple devices, and Lumio will sync up when you switch. So for instance, somebody with a laptop at the back of the room could be moving the slideshow for the Lumio up on the smartboard. All right, so I'm going to dive in with the Lumio Spark upgrade. One of the huge features that we were really pushing for is shared libraries. So what this does is allows you to create a shared library for your maybe a department in your school or a department head or a grade level. You know, whoever's the lead in a grade level could create a shared library and add the other teachers that are in their department or in their grade level to help make it easier to create, and as you see it right below it, and even co-edit lessons, which is great because they can start a lesson on fractions and say, hey, you make 2 matching games, you make 2 sorting games, you make 2 ranking order games. We put them all together into this one file, and now we all have this nice file where we've all contributed some activities, and we have it year after year sitting in this kind of, think of it like a shared drive in Google. Nobody really owns it. It sits there for you guys to kind of add to your own library and then teach from. And then the co-editing, and in beta mode, which I will show you how to get to beta mode in Lumio, they've now added a AI assist quiz creation. And of course, because AI is coming into everything these days, Lumio is also going to be keeping up with that. And I will give you a little preview of that. So super happy that we did get that Spark plan. We do have a, so if you go to shared libraries in Lumio, you will see that we have the SDPBC Lumio library. Currently, I've only been putting like templates, things in there that are not really, anything that we have to worry about getting approved. Eventually, my goal is to see how we can vet and get some things approved and put in there. What I'm kind of hoping is people will start creating their own little shared libraries, and sort of the really good stuff will kind of float to the top, and we'll be able to grab some of that stuff and put it in this district Lumio library for all to access, so we're not all recreating the wheel. Of course, all that sort of plays into the how we'd get that approved and everything, and maybe working with curriculum. But I have some high hopes for this as a quick, easy way to provide teachers with some fun resources, really extensions, because most things are in like Benchmark or other places, or not Benchmark, but you know what I mean. There's a lot of places where teachers get all their resources. We don't want to muddy it with a whole lot, but if they know they can grab some extra enhancements or enrichment from Lumio, that'd be great. So shared libraries can have 20 editors or viewers, which should cover most departments or grade levels pretty easily. They invite their colleagues with a link. You have folders and subfolders to organize things by unit or topic, or however they would like to organize that shared library. And one user can create up to 5 shared libraries. So as the media specialist, you're not going to be able to create a shared library for every department or every grade level. You really do want to kind of build their knowledge and their strength to kind of become owners of that. You already own so much. Don't try to own all this. Try to maybe provide a little PLC time, or a little preview of like, hey, here's a way that you guys can do this, besides trying to put your Lumio lessons like in Google Drive, or sharing them with a link and other things that just aren't as fluid as this. So super excited about this, plus that ability to co-edit, which I'll show you kind of here, kind of like a Google Doc. It'll have somebody's initial next to something that they're editing. So if they're on a particular slide, you can kind of avoid that slide. I do have a note that if somebody's currently editing like a matching or a sorting game, you can't be editing in that same game at the same time. So you can edit a page, but activities have a lot going on with them, where you'd have to wait for them to finish editing that game and move out of it, and then you could go in and add to a game or something like that. But I do encourage you to try this out and see what you think. And even sharing among yourselves. I mean, somebody could make one too, because I know you guys in the media center, a lot of the media center, especially in elementary, use Lumio with their students, that there may be some fun things that you guys are already using for getting to know the library, or different research projects, or other fun things that you do that you can kind of share with each other. Unfortunately, limited again to only 20, which we're trying to work on SMART. It was 10, and then we got a lot of pushback, and they upped it to 20. I'm actually pushing for them to create school level libraries, which would make life a lot easier, and maybe have like a limit of 100, or something like that. Just because it's too hard with us being such a big district to really have a centralized library, but schools themselves. So I put that in there as a request, and I'm hoping that they'll get to that. Here's a little preview of what the AI assist for quiz writing would look like. It would work in the response, monster quiz, team quiz, game show, and speed up. So it would be multiple choice, true, false questions. But you can select your question type, choose a grade level, how many questions. You can put in a topic or a prompt. You can choose standards and strands, and it'll generate the questions, and then you can go in and edit the questions. But it could be a huge time saver, especially for math, to have it create a bunch of multiple choice problems between the numbers of 1 and 20, and it would just crank them out for you and not have to go through all that busy work of copy pasting or typing in your problems. So this has some definitely great potential, even to the point where you can say, do questions on expository writing with the book James and the Giant Peach. It'll actually grab stuff from that book and make questions based off of the what's in that book. So obviously you want to preview all that kind of stuff before you would do it with students, but it could be a good time saver. But with any AI tool, you need to review and approve and all that kind of fun stuff. But it is just in beta mode. But I know people like to kind of play with the new stuff that's out there. To do that in Lumio, I'm going to switch over just to show you guys. When I click on myself up here, you have Lumio beta. And if I click on that, I can turn off. So right now I've joined it, but if I turn it off, I'll show you what it would look like when you're not in it. So you would just click on your name and join Lumio beta. As they keep releasing new stuff for Spark, we will be able to get to try it out. So you just click on that, join Lumio beta. It'll give you a list of features that are in Lumio beta. So, they've recently added this. I thought it was kind of nice for if you just want to try things just to see what's out there and what's coming. They also like getting feedback on those types of things. So, yes, and I see Stephanie's post in the chat. Yes, you need to review this stuff. Don't just trust what AI is going to plop out there for you. So definitely some cool things with that. There's another thing, like I'm part of a council where we get to hear other updates. Another huge update that I'm dying for, but I'm not sure when it's going to happen, is the ability to create sessions for a lesson instead of having to recreate or make a copy of a lesson for each class period, for instance. So a 7th grade algebra teacher has like 3 sections. They have to make a copy of the lesson. When they do eventually do this upgrade, you would be able to have that lesson, but then every time you would launch that lesson, it would make it a session. And that way you could refer back to the handouts or the data for that lesson based off of when you did that lesson in that session. So I think that'll also help things make it easier for teachers to use. Another huge one that I mentioned to you at the beginning, this one is just for Lumio in general. It's not related to Spark. They've added a microphone now to the gallery. So when you click on the gallery in creation mode, you could record audio and add it to your page or upload audio. So really good for like music teachers or teachers that are working on students that need to work on their reading and reading out loud and fluency, where you could also record your voice for them to hear something, but also I'll show you a quick preview here. In student mode, they will have that same thing. So you could have student audio responses to questions or to clarify or explain, especially useful for our little ones who can't type. This is another great solution. And yes, we do have to go through a little bit of hand holding for them. As you see here on the right, you have to allow microphone access and then click allow. Once that's done, they won't ever have to do it again. And just a quick little tip, I've done a lot of coaching in classrooms. Usually I recommend if the teacher's gonna do this, do it in small groups of 5, like with kindergarten, first, second. Do it as like a kidney table pullout so that you can kind of help them click through that. If there's using that same Chromebook, it'll remember those settings. And then you could start to work on having them be able to record their voice as responses. I could see it's really being awesome for like schools that do a lot with music, where students could actually upload recordings of them performing. I know they could do that in Google Classroom as well, but there's just a lot of potential here, I think, for this. And you can also attach the audio. I think I have that maybe in another part. This is what it would look like when you add the audio. It's just a speaker. But also you can attach audio to an object. So that'll also be good for our K1 younger students or pre-K, where you could attach like you saying the word heart. So that when they click on the little speaker, they can hear what that's a picture of, or a word, so they could actually hear how to pronounce different things. So there's definitely a ton of potential. I use this kind of feature a lot in the Smart Notebook back in the day. It's nice now that it's part of Lumio, so then it's in that collaborative environment where you're working with students on their Chromebooks. And of course, I'm all about screenshots and help, so I try to have kind of everything covered, for them to be able to be successful with this. So there is a little video from Smart 2. I will actually, maybe I'll put this link now, but also I will share this link with Stephanie for her to follow up with everybody. But this is a link to my presentation that I'm putting in the chat so that you guys all have a copy of this. You can like make a copy or bookmark it. But definitely another nice new cool feature. Another one they added is stickers. So if you're reviewing their digital workspaces like handouts, group workspaces, you can quickly add stickers, or they can quickly add stickers without having to like Google and search for particular icons or emojis and things like that. And I just remembered another beta feature coming in the image search is the ability to filter your image search by like clip art or photos and things like that. So that's another nice feature that's coming soon. I am talking about a minute. Are there any questions at this point, wonderings before I keep moving? You guys always add to the chat or ask to be unmuted if you have a question. With kind of any of these new enhancements. All right, the persistent class ID is just under the people. So when you click on the people and then you check this little box, you can turn that on. Keep in mind, it does show up in the bottom of the page and can cover content that you might have at the bottom of the page. So that's been my only downfall, is I try to use like every inch of my screen typically when I put stuff. And so I occasionally had to go in and move some things so that the class ID is not covering it up. But it is very nice for getting people, especially like a staff meeting or things like that, where you want to get everybody joined in, but you've already started your lesson and you got people trickling in. And you can write it up on the board or this and that, but this is a nice way just to put it out in front of them. And then the equation editor, if you didn't know this existed, it is under kind of right next to the gallery. It's also for students to use now, like I mentioned. They have chemistry type and math. So it's great for creating fractions, creating math problems, and for students to kind of work within a math problem. It's typically found in most other similar tools. So a lot of these types of things, Smart's trying to kind of keep up with other ones like Nearpod, Pear Deck, and other tools, so that everybody can use these and not feel like, oh, we have to use so many different tools in the district. So we also have this equation editor video, just gets a little deeper into what that is. Again, because this isn't really a training, it's more of informational. I'm not going to dive into it too deep. The other thing I wanted to remind you guys of is Lumio Sync on multiple displays. So essentially what this does is if you happen to have two displays in a classroom, or even if you have um, your projector and a smart board, or your laptop and your smart board, it does give you that opportunity to show content up on your screen without having to kind of switch. Yes, you have a wireless keyboard and you could interact with the smart board from a distance, but it is just a nice way to kind of sync some things up. I especially found it useful in some schools when they're maybe doing a meeting in the media center and they want to have something up on multiple smart boards and you don't want to run wires to all of them. You can just upload the Google slideshow into Lumio and just present that Google slideshow on both panels. The disclaimer on that is if there's like videos or animations or links, those are not going to sync necessarily. So it's really just for showing content. If they're just basically showing pictures, showing information, it works perfectly for that. Otherwise, there's other more technical solutions, to kind of show the same thing on multiple screens, like using HDMI cables to connect the panels, or Google Meet, on logging into like a Google Meet on multiple displays. But I know your techs get asked that question a lot. I'm sure you guys might get asked that question a lot of, how can I show the same thing on multiple smart boards? Lumio is a kind of a nice way to do that. Um, so those are just some screenshots of kind of what it would look like. And just some reminders in case you were not at our April one, I did want to remind people that we do have the Lumio portal tile for staff now. It's still saying beta, but they've had this for a while now. You can import editable PDFs, PowerPoints, and Google Slides into Lumio. So if I go back to Lumio and show you under import, below the regular import is the ability to import a PDF or PowerPoint that's editable or a Google Slides that's editable. So basically it just uses OCR to kind of scan the page and separate the text into text boxes and pictures. And definitely is nice for you then to be able to go in and edit things still that you've imported. Now, keep in mind, things don't always look exactly the same when it does that. Sometimes the font doesn't match. Sometimes you got to tidy it up or move some things around. So I tend to only use it on like changes, like a title slide where I'm in the title or other things. If a slide, it looks great in Google Slides and I don't think I'm going to change it, I just import it regularly. That way it looks exactly like it did in Google Slides. Um, let's see. I'm going to move on to these other things just to show you. So here's what the portal tile looks like now. Kind of skip past that fast. So it's there for students and for teachers. Just sign in with Google. As always, this was the import thing I was just mentioning to you guys. And I wanted to let you know that we do have some e-learning actually this week. So it's kind of late notice. You may have seen or got an announcement about this, but Thursday, December 12th, 4:30 to 5:30, there is a remote session. And I actually believe Lumio is assisting with presenting this. So it's a good refresher on Lumio. If you have a way to communicate out to some of your staff, especially your elementary staff, just say, hey, you want to learn a little bit more about Lumio? There's an hour session coming up. Oops, sorry, skipped off that page. We also have, they're closing in December, getting started with Lumio, level 1 Lumio educator, and also Lumio certified trainer, which most of you guys have done. These are going to be available again next semester. We kind of run those by semester. And then I created a course that's going to run all year long. It's unfortunately not for points, but it is information on using your smart panel in your classroom AV, like your document cameras, projectors, smart ink. Really recommend this for new teachers and school technicians. It's not very long course. It's very simple. It also just has lots of great links and resources, but it's a great support and great thing to send your new teachers, or you guys often probably work closely with your new technicians, especially the ones where you have a lot of turnover. That this is a great way for them to become more familiar. I also do a training for the school techs on the smart boards and kind of talk a little bit about Lumio with them, but most of it has to do with the panels. Another just kind of reminder that it's very easy to post your your Lumio lessons in Google Classroom. I recommend using the link, and that becomes an asynchronous lesson. It's a great thing to put for like, hey, students finish checking out books or they finish their project or whatever it is, they can go to Google Classroom and access another Lumio lesson, or even access your Lumio lessons that you've provided then from home to work on things. I also have the most insane Lumio guide. So it is actually on our smart.palmbeachschools.org. And I'm going to actually open the slides version of it. It'll kind of open in a preview mode there. But to make life easier, I do have a table of contents for it. It's a little overwhelming. I know I put a lot of stuff in here, but it's kind of your go-to for anything Lumio. Like, oh, I forgot how to do a shout it out, or how to use manipulatives, or the graphic organizers, or the activity dashboard in the games and how that works. or PhET simulations for science and math. So if you click on one of those and click on it, it'll bring you right to that section. And you can see my kind of help documents, and even I provide smarts videos and some other great things for you guys. This thing is growing all the time. I think it's like 186 slides at this point. So that's why I have a table of contents, and I have a home button on all the pages to get back to that table of contents. I used to make old school web pages like that, back in the day, Hyper Studio, fun things like that. So this is an amazing resource that I put together that just basically has everything you would need for Lumio. I also have my Lumio lesson links. Remember my disclaimer, get them approved, make sure you've approved them. Nothing really controversial in any of them. They're all really just skill practice, but just always like to provide, less work for other people by having these things available to them. Also, you may have heard or know that we are replacing all of all of the PCs in the smart panels this year. So over 11,000 PCs are being replaced. We've done about 14 schools so far. It's been going really well. We have kind of an email already set up for the school technician to warn teachers that, hey, you need to back up all of your files, put them in Google Drive, put them in your documents, anything in downloads, anything on your desktop will be gone because you'll have a brand new updated computer. And believe it or not, I still go to schools where the PC on the smart board has not been updated in like 5 or 6 years, like since it was dropped off, which is so sad that it's taken putting a new computer in to get some of these teachers a new updated PC. So most techs, I'm not knocking the techs, they work their butts off, and it's different at different schools. But I am happy to say that at the end of this year, everybody will be on Windows 11 and have these nice new PCs. And the smart boards still have a good 2 years, 3 years left in their warranty. So we are going to keep using those panels as long as we can. And there may eventually be an upgrade for those, maybe in 2026 or something like that. That'll all have to get voted on and all that kind of stuff. So the new PCs have been going great, minimal issues. I've been following up with all the schools like the next day. Usually the biggest issue is, oh, we need VLC player installed or we need the document camera installed. I am getting those added to the new image. So soon, once IT approves it, we will have a new image that will have that software. I know you guys use VLC, a lot of you, for doing your morning news. So that's just kind of been the only little hang up, but it's easily achievable, and people have been able to get by and been successful. The school techs have been able to push out VLC, or teachers can add it from the portal. But keep in mind, we are working to have that added to the image. And another plug, as I'm wrapping up my last minutes here, we have our tech conference, which unfortunately was canceled last year, is happening this year for real at Dr. Joaquin Garcia High School on February 24th. It's a PDE day. And we have an opening keynote, and we managed to get Sal Khan to do a virtual closing keynote because of all of our work with Khan Academy and Conmigo. So we're excited to have him and many vendors. Like you see, we have Cami and Lumio and some other people. So there'll be some sessions offered by vendors, but we are looking for presenters as well. And I know a lot of you guys are pretty highly skilled, or who teachers are in your building that are very highly skilled with not only Lumio, but other technology tools that they could share with other teachers. Teachers much prefer to hear from other teachers rather than people that aren't in the classroom or vendors. So please try to pass this stuff on to your teachers. We're definitely looking for some great sessions submitted by January 10th. With 1 minute to spare, that's all I had.
That was great. Thank you so much.
Yes. Wow, I can't believe I got it in 30 minutes almost.
Exactly. But it was great. And then everybody, don't forget that again, this is for us to learn and to pass on to your staff members, and also share all those wonderful resources for your new teachers that are sort of coming in now and don't really know about all the resources and things available for the smart panels. All right, so we have a few more things to go through. Any more questions for Dan before we continue? All right. Well, if you do, he does work for the district. So first name dot last name at Palm Beach Schools. He is available to answer any questions. If you have any questions, you can always email them to us, and then we can get it to him or somebody else in ed tech if need be. All right. Continue to tag us in what you are doing on Twitter and X, and we like to stay involved and see everything that's happening on the school front. It makes us smile. So please continue. And if you have not already done so, Anya and Kimberly and the team have created a fantastic PD coming up on January 6th. We know that many of us have come in and you have to jump right in, or you may not know how to jump right into the TV studio. You may not know how to work the different equipment, or you're not sure of the timing or how any of the new show works. So this is going to be a all hands on session to learn all aspects of the TV news, the studio, different templates to use, different ideas. And then we're hoping that this can also kickstart you into filming and getting your Jim Harbin Film Festival ideas running, and ways to start filming that to get that ready for the spring. But this is going to be at Dr. J as well on January 6th when we return from winter break. It is a great way to jump back in with some hands-on fun with all of us. So please join us. It is live sign up already in ELM. Please search for TV production, video editing, and it should pop right up. It's worth 11 points. And also, Emma is getting very close to having their meeting with upper leadership to advocate for you guys and things that are happening or things that need to be improved upon. If you've not joined Emma, please do so. If you have not reached out with your voice or concerns, please do so. We do have another grade level meeting coming up this Thursday for all the different grade levels if you need to discuss anything there as well. Again, this course is worth 20 points at the end of the school year. If you need certification points, please make sure that you sign up in ELM, and there'll be one sort of accumulating assignment at the end of the school year to get you sort of like your PLC points. Like we said in the beginning, this is our only Topical Tuesday in December. Everybody and all of us will be on vacation. So again, I thank you for sharing your time with us today. I am going to go ahead and stop recording and end the session here, but we will stay online for a little bit. If there's anything that needs to be discussed for the good of the order, we can stay on for a few minutes.